Welcome to Roll on the Adventure. We're creating a tabletop role-playing game. A tabletop role-playing game in which a bunch of disenfranchised specimen actors attempt to escape from the temporal stereotype zoo in which they've been imprisoned. We're going to be working on the mechanics of the game in this section. And now for the intro.
This is the intro. They paid us to make one.
Brilliant. By the end of the arc, we'll probably actually have something resembling an actual intro.
That's complete nonsense. We're not going to get that far.
You don't think we're going to actually finish the arc?
No, I don't think we're going to. I don't think we're going to get an intro. I think it's just going to be us tunelessly singing.
Okay, so first on our game mechanics to-do list is how to represent the character. What we're going to do to differentiate one character from another. Any ideas on this? I think we've got like stereotypes and traits and time periods.
I'm assuming probably fairly light as a general rule system. So probably some kind of, who you're meant to be portraying, possibly just like a couple of descriptive tags for your skills and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
Rather than full-on skill rankings and number stats.
Yeah. Dimitri?
Well, I think one of the differentiators should be the time zone, like the period that the characters are in. Should this be fixed though, or should it be like a concept like World of Darkness does, like a general free-form idea?
I think freeform works for this.
The only risk I can foresee with doing it completely freeform is you end up with people kind of backing themselves into a corner.
Yeah.
So, like, because one of the most common problems with presenting things as freeform is that it causes incredible analysis paralysis.
That is true.
And one of the things I really hate, when you give your players a lot of choice and then they just go,
Yeah.
So possibly try giving them some guidance. So say, okay, well, divide the time periods into like modern era, and try and give them a little bit more assistance rather than just throwing them in the deep end. Actually, perfect case in point, Call of Cthulhu, the original one, it just becomes garbage because
there's so many different things you can do.
Yeah, and no one really knows the 1920s unless they're a proper nerd.
I mean, have done research for that game before, but
once again, I refer back to the statement of unless they're a proper nerd.
Good point.
Yeah, so it got you there. So it's trying to make sure that people have at least a start.
Yeah, I think a bracket, maybe.
Well, you could do it if you've ever played any of the Power by the Apocalypse things. Most of the characters in that, it's like pick one of with various descriptors and so forth on, just so you're not, like Molly says, you're not completely casting about at random. You have some choices you can work off.
So I've got an idea. How about the players, because decision paralysis mostly comes about when you're trying to choose for your character. It's easy to bounce things around about the game in general, I've found.
Yeah.
People seem a bit happier with that. So maybe once you've got your bracket, you bounce around like a few different period ideas and the GM writes them down. And then those are the ones you can choose from.
Okay.
So here's my idea for how we might do this. So each person suggests like the stereotype that this is going to be. Then once we've got that stereotype, each person says one thing that stereotype should be good at. So you've got a bullet point list of skills the character is expected to have. And then when you pick, you cross one of those off because that's the one you're expected to be able to do, but you're actually bad at.
Okay,
yeah.
So a bit like reverse Powered by the Apocalypse in that.
Yeah.
Rather than picking the one you're good at from the list, you pick the one you're bad at. I quite like that, actually.
I kind of like the idea that's the missing piece of the puzzle.
Yeah.
And it fits with the notion that the keepers don't really sort people well in the time periods.
They're not.
Yeah, you are from the 80s. Yeah. Okay, no, I like that. I actually really like the idea of losing that bit of the puzzle.
Cool. Anyone got anything to add on, like how we're going to represent these traits? Now we've got some abilities. Should they be like phrases like "my character can do this"? Are they like bits of an identity? are they specific tasks that you'd be expected to perform, but one of them you're very bad at, so you're just blagging it?
Oh, I know how you could do it. So you do like, in my enclosure, I am expected to, and then they fill in that bit, and that gives them a skill. You know, in my downtime, I like to, and then they put like another thing in. And so it allows them to partly character build, but also, you know, because we've got that initial bit in the game where you're kind of going through your role-played humiliation.
Yeah.
It allows you to tie that in. So it's like, you know, 80s business guy in his enclosure, he's expected to take lots of cocaine and throw money around. So, you know, like my ability is to throw stuff accurately, you know, and that builds into what you have to do in the day.
So it's kind of like Kiss, Kill, Marry. You pick like out of your things, and you say, this is the one that I like doing. This is the one that if I had to do this, like something for a long time, this is the most comfortable one.
Yeah.
Yeah, and this is the one I hate having to do, because they don't actually give me cocaine, they give me baking soda. You know.
Cool. Dimitri?
I want to build on that. So we can have a list of like a set list of skills, for example, and we just justify the bonuses to these skills with what Molly said. So, you know, you have a throwing skill, so throwing stuff around is adds a bonus. It's like choosing proficiencies or preferences or things like second edition D&D, I think, did this. I'm not really
Oh
sure.
yeah, like the old school.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you could say like there are 7 skills or 9 skills, you know, a short list, not too cumbersome. And you can say, okay, because of what I do in my enclave, I pick this. Because of what I like to do as a person, I pick that. And you have 3 proficiencies, for example.
So you take the I do a lot of cocaine, which is actually baking soda, and you basically line that up with the constitution equivalent skill.
Yeah.
Poison resistance or toughness or something. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, baking soda resistant.
That's a niche skill, man.
Yeah. Well, you never know. The only way we can get out of this storage locker is if someone can snort 8 kilos of baking soda. Stand back, guys. I got this.
It's like the weirdest, most specific dungeon in Tomb of Horrors or something.
Yeah. He's got play the music. Don't you?
It reminds me of a time when I was running the RPG mashup, and someone took a skill, I am not a platypus, and it came up. Don't ask me how. I'd forgotten he had this skill.
Mashup is its own crazy, wonderful little thing.
Yeah, it's its own broken robot.
Yeah, I think we should leave off that reminiscing about that, because I could go on about that for ages. Okay, so next up, how do we represent a challenge? So we've got this list of skills. We've got what a character is capable of. What's the anatomy of, like, say our MacGuffin run? What's the anatomy of that the skill system then interacts with? How is that built? Any ideas?
Again, I'm thinking something fairly basic, just along the lines of D6. Add point or 2 from your skills or whatever. Static target score, something along those lines.
That doesn't allow for a huge amount of granularity.
There's the downside, but on the upside, it's fairly light.
True. I mean, light is good, but
that might just be my own preferences speaking.
No, I get that, but my concern is that, you know, say it's D6 plus 2.
Yeah.
Then you've got your range is only within, you know, your range is only like 3 to 8.
I'm kind of thinking because 2d6 has a kind of bit of a bell curve. Not actually a bell curve, but 2d6 and pay noise to reroll 1 die.
I would go 3d6, so you get as close to, you know, you get the start of a proper bell curve, and then because then that also gives you a bit more choice when it comes to which dice you roll for generating the noise, you know?
Yeah, so it's like if you've got 2 1s and a 6, you're gonna reroll the 1.
Yeah.
But if you've got like the same score on like a 3, a 2, and a 2, you're a bit screwed.
Yeah.
Which could be really interesting.
Or you could do it, you could add a bit like poker. or like Yahtzee, and
Oh,
you
you
could
want
say
sets.
like so like 2-3-3 isn't very good, but 2-3-4 is very good.
Or 2-2-2.
1-2-3 is very good. Or 2-2-2 is very good. You know.
I mean, we could always steal from Wild Talents and go wide or high.
Is that a similar? I've not played that one. Is that a similar thing where you're looking for sets or runs, effectively?
It's just sets. So it uses I forgot the One Roll Engine. If you know it from any other games, It's a D10s based system. You roll a stack of dice. With 10s, it's obviously harder to make matches, and each thing has a difficulty, which is a width of a set and a height of a set. So a set of 3 2s. I'll go with that because it's a better example. A set of 3 2s has a width of 3 and a height of 2.
Okay.
And depending on which one you cock up, then different things happen.
Okay.
Well, I would suggest like something entirely different. I think it might be simpler. So we do the 3d6, and every added proficiency in that specific skill adds dice. So everything over 10 as a result is a success, and everything over 20 is awesome. So you roll 3d6. If you're really good at throwing stuff, you add an extra die, and you go on from there. And you know that 10 is a hard limit of success. So you just...
Yeah, I must admit that's one thing I do like from Powered by the Apocalypse, is that it's very easy to just go, what did you roll? 7. Great, you hit. Next.
Yeah, that's the problem with the matching ones.
Yeah, true.
As much as I kind of like them as a concept, they can kind of fall apart.
I think if we had longer, we could. If we had a month, we could do justice to that mechanic. But just to get this off the ground, I think, Demetria, you are completely right. We need to do something simple like that.
So we're going to go for the 3d6.
Yeah, 3d6 plus an extra d6 for each.
Yeah. Plus modifiers.
Yeah.
Well, sorry, plus extra dice.
Yeah.
And are we going to have a flat difficulty for everything?
I quite like the 10.
Yeah.
I might go as far as to say 10, 15, 20.
So a challenge is more defined by how long it is, how many steps there are, rather than by what the difficulties of each step.
So are we going with the thought there's not generally many rolls per challenge? It's not kind of roll to climb up out of here, roll to do this, roll to do that. It's more kind of maybe 2 or 3 rolls. That's it.
I was envisaging more maybe 4 or 5, with some of those mostly being to give you an advantage on another roll at the risk of generating noise.
Yeah, that was my thought. You're going to have a certain level of ability just because you're capable of escape. Then like you say, there's only 4 or 5 rolls that are important, which are okay, you have to make this jump roll.
And you can pay a noise to get an extra die. Even if it fails, though, you're going to generate more noise anyway. So you're kind of in between a rock and a hard place a little bit, which I kind of like.
You're doubling down on the amount of noise you're going to make.
It sounds like that's where most of the dramatic tension's going to come. Of I really want to do this, but if I screw up, it's going to make things even worse.
It's like the duplication die in backgammon, perhaps. You wager that you're going to do it, but if you don't, it's worse.
Yeah, that does make a lot of sense. I think that's a really cool mechanic. So if you go loud, then you're definitely adding a bit of noise if you succeed, but you're adding a lot of noise if you fail. I kind of like that idea. It's a nice risk, and it means that every time someone reaches for one of those noise tokens, then the rest of the players kind of sit there and go, and I like that sort of gameplay.
I'm guessing the other players can't stop you from doing it either.
Oh no, they can. They can ask you not to, but they can't stop you.
Just for the, did you really have to do that? God damn it!
I mean, if you
actually on that front, what about the possibility of players being able to like take noise off of you? So like you go, okay, so 80s business guy is trying to steal the staple gun.
Yeah.
I go, okay, 1960s blaxploitation actor, watch the door.
Yeah.
Make sure you know. So I sneak in, I bungle my roll, I take a noise to try and make the re-roll. I fail again, and then rather than me gaining enough noise, which would kind of, get me sent to the farm, you go, okay, crap. I will take his noise by going like Shamon, I ain't gonna get on the plane kind of thing. So
the distraction thing that we were talking about, he's effectively paying his action to like for this sort of round of doing things in order to do a distraction and take noise off you.
Yeah, but he gets all of the noise, maybe plus one. So it comes down
to
that
he gets
thing
a chance to burn it off.
Yeah,
a chance, but not. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's kind of like look, guys, I can't go back in solitary again. Like it will break me. It's okay. I got this. You run.
Yeah. So you're doing the distraction, taking the heat, that kind of thing, while the actual plot goes down.
And it might be that it adds an extra day or an extra loop.
Yeah, I like that idea. I think that it should cost them, but they should also be able to mitigate some of that noise by going and doing the thing that they hate. The thing that we said.
Yeah, you have to act cute.
Yeah,
you have to do that.
So they basically see you go along dancing like a happy monkey, and that makes them ease back a bit and stop thinking about maybe sending you away.
Yeah, they go, oh, you're in trouble now. But I suppose if you, snort lots of cocaine and beat up your secretary, we'll let you off.
Yeah.
Like, oh man, I hate doing cocaine and beating up my secretary.
Yeah, I think that's going to be that's quite a cool mechanic. I like that. Right, I think the next thing that kind of flows well from that is consequences and changes to characters. So if you do cock up, you said sent to the farm, and that was one of the things we were going to have be one of those rumors at the beginning.
And also dependent on the tone of that specific game, as it could be if you screw up, you die, or it could be if you screw up, you try again in a week.
Yeah. Or you get or even you screw up and you just get inconvenienced. Like, hey, what happened to you? I have to wear the cone of shame.
So yes, how would we represent those consequences in the system? Consequences and changes to the character, because I think there's got to be some level of permanence to a cock up, aside from just having a bit of extra noise on the group.
So a fairly quick and easy way of doing it would be basically to have like negative traits that
more negative traits.
Yeah, similar to your skills, except bad. Like if you were forced to do lots of cocaine, you can actually have cocaine habit. If you're in the presence of cocaine, take a dice penalty, something like that.
Yeah.
Fairly quick and easy, but
I think that as a quick and dirty way, that's a pretty nice way to represent it. Anyone else got any ideas?
Well, another thing, obviously, I think that we don't cater for experience points or character development. I think that a character would be pretty much unchanged during the course of a game, of a single campaign.
In that case, I think we'd need some changes to the zoo situation. I think having no consequences kind of reduces the game aspect of it. It reduces the likelihood of failure at the end, things like that. Do you think there's a good way of representing changes to like what's happening in the zoo? Maybe the routine changes or something, throwing your plant into disarray, stuff like that, maybe?
Yeah, or some physical traps, or things like lasers or security or cameras. So there's an extra step in your way that you now have to disable the cameras before you get the remote, for example.
and you've still got the same amount of time to do it before you've missed your window and this attempt fails. I think having a set window at the beginning is like you've got like X number of days, so X number of loops around the whole everybody take an action. Adding an extra problem in the way could be a real setback.
Or potentially even losing a day or two if things go really bad, yeah.
I think losing actions is largely going to be a lot of the penalty then.
I mean, you could also look at it from the side of, if you keep trying to escape, well, the zoo gets sick of you trying to escape.
Yeah.
So they introduce more complication because it's like, hey, these animals are assholes. Let's, they're being very aggressive. Let's feed them anti-aggression food.
Yeah.
So yeah, there's two ways we could work that. So there's negative traits. There's like adding more steps to the things you kind of need to overcome, and then there's also the lost actions due to being sent off to do certain things, like mandatory actions, effectively.
Actually, that could be it. Actually, you get a number of action slots, effectively, and so your mandatory actions of having to act cute kill off your action slots.
Yeah, and same with the distraction. That kills one of your action slots, but takes the noise from another player.
Yeah, and then means that your action slots explode. As in that your action slots vanish. But oh well.
So here's an idea. We've got noise is personal, but at the end for the final escape attempt, it uses the maximum noise of any player.
That works quite well. So it encourages you to spread the love, so to speak.
Yeah. Dimitri?
Well, I was thinking that perhaps, like in the most extreme cases, we have a lost condition, like a tabletop game, that basically if you don't manage to do something, you fail.
So yeah, you can, if noise goes above a certain amount, that player is taken out effectively. Also, probably having a turn limit. So you've got so many action slots, and these refresh every so often, and you get so many refreshes before the game's over.
Or it's just by default, a certain number of days and slots.
Yeah.
Perhaps you roll on it, like Russian roulette or something.
Yes, to make it, you probably want it within a certain number to not make it like one turn game would be really way too short. But yeah, to make possibly as an advanced rule or something that could make it interesting, like to mix it up a bit.
Hardcore mode.
Yeah.
Instead of having 6 turns, you have 2 plus d6.
We could say something like after the 4th round, you roll for how many rounds you have.
Ooh, that would be the hardcore version. I think that's really, really awesome. I think that's a great idea. I think we should do that.
Or, we could do like beginners have 7 rounds.
Yeah.
Intermediates have 5, and hardcore players have 3 plus the dice.
3 plus d3. So you don't know quite how much you can afford to.
And the GM rolls the d3, keeping it secret.
That's a lot meaner.
I don't know. I think that they should know. It's like you see an opportunity in the routine.
Oh no! I know what it is. So you get your 3. The GM rolls for the additions. Yeah. And on the 3rd round, you find out how much you've got left.
That's what I was thinking.
Yeah. So it's like, okay, we know we've got between 4 and 6. Let's see what the game says.
I would suggest the players roll, just because it makes them have more tension during this time. Like, ooh, what's gonna be? Oh, it's a 4.
So they roll after the 3rd turn.
Okay.
I think that's both brilliant and mean, and like pretty in genre. It's like an opportunity presents itself that you can't mess up. Maybe have some sort of scene in which this happens. Like you realize from watching the guard patterns or from your MacGuffins or whatever that there's going to be like a shipment or something in a few days or whatever the plot device is. Like it's one of the guards' birthdays and they're throwing him a party, and so the guards are going to be a bit more distracted. So you can't miss this window. I like the window thing.
That makes sense, because I personally like the idea of it being like, okay, we have to do this now. Go, 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 go. You know?
Yeah, I think that's going to add a really good amount of tension to the game, and that is a brilliant idea, Dimitri.
Thanks.
Okay,
so you're here. There is a reason why you're here.
Harsh. Okay, so I think we're about in time for some sort of worked example. So we're going to just quickly go through the sort of stealing the. Okay, so we'll go through like a day, so like one set of action slots. So how many actions are you envisaging people having in a set of action slots?
I think the further back in time you go, the less useful your skills are going to be, so you get more action slots.
So you get like, I think though you're already going to be penalized in the later ones for having by cocking up. Basically, you're going to have some of them arbitrarily spent for you or getting rid of noise. So I think a set number still works.
Okay. Sorry.
Sorry, I don't know if I agree. Like in the earlier time periods, perhaps other skills are more important, but not necessarily like detrimental to you. Like you're expected to be in better physical shape, for example, or be very social in the Middle Ages. I think you're expected to understand protocol more and things like that. So there's skills there that might work. I don't know if we want to penalize. They shouldn't feel different mechanically. Not so much. I think.
I agree. I think having the same mechanics for each of the time periods is kind of fair. It means that also that there's not going to be any horrendous surprises for players who've played it before.
Okay, fair enough.
So yeah, so how many slots per phase? Shall we just go with a ballpark figure for now, and then we can refine it later? I would say I think 3 is a nice number, but if people want to discuss.
What do you mean, like slots? Like how many skill challenges in a session, or
so like how many bits of a run you can go on. So if you wanted to say steal the remote in a day, you'd have to say work out where it is and then go steal it. But if you've got to spend one of your actions is taken up with being in solitary confinement or whatever, or that mandatory physical test that they've given you because of that weird hijinks you got up to the other day, then you might lose one of your action slots. And you can also spend one of them to take the heat off someone else in each day.
Yeah, no, that makes sense.
It does. I don't think I can give you a number right now, though.
Let's go with 3 then. If worse comes to worse, just pick a number out of thin air.
Yeah, I was going for 3 because I think 2 means that people are less likely to cover for each other in case something goes wrong with their run, or they lose it for whatever reason. I think there should be a mechanic where if you've made enough noise, the keepers get a roll and they may dock you one of your actions for the day.
And if that happens too often, it can lead to fairly bad stuff as they just remove you, basically.
Yeah, I think if you go too high, then they're definitely going to just remove you that day.
Yeah.
3 sounds fine.
Yeah, I think that sounds reasonable. Whereas I think more than 3 people are going to be a bit willy-nilly with them. They're not going to plan correctly. So yeah, we've got 3 action slots per day. So they're stealing the remote. We've got 80s businessman and we've got 60s blaxploitation actor who are in on this remote stealing.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So how do you think this is going to play out?
Well, we need a plan first. So, we know it's in the office. Yep. Start of the day. I am going to pretend that I am too sick from too much cocaine to perform.
Yep. Which is going to probably get you a bit of noise, but it's going to take one of your actions to basically give all your. Actually, no, it shouldn't take an action. The actual heist is your action. What do you guys think? Should getting off sick basically be one of your actions, or should it not?
I was thinking of actions as being largely physical time slots. So, yes, if you're doing something that takes a chunk of time, that's what you're doing.
Yeah, I think it should take an action. Like it's something you have to pretend you're sick, and the gods will be there, and you'll have to explain what happens.
By default, you're probably going to. I think we mentioned a bit earlier that generally at least one of your actions per day is going to be either being a performing monkey or being in for lab tests or things that you don't like and don't have much say in, but need to.
Okay, well, in which case, I'll flip that round then. I'll flip that round and make it so my first action of the day is I wake up and I do I sit in my office and I go on the phone and I swear at my secretary and I close deals and I do lines of blow off the desk.
Yeah. So that's your first action, and that's basically that's the reduce noise action.
Yeah. So that lets me. So I've been a good little monkey. So it means that I can risk more later on.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so for your second action for the day.
Well, what does 60s blaxploitation guy do?
60s blaxploitation guy. He's doing something to do with he's scouting out the fence.
Okay.
That's going to be his morning. So he's positioning himself. He rolls all right. He doesn't generate any extra noise, but he doesn't reduce it either.
Okay, cool. But you've found a gap in the fence.
Or at least you've got a lot more knowledge of the fence.
Yeah. So in which case, my second action then would be to use that information to make a hole in the fence.
Oh, so you can get into the office after hours?
Yeah. And then what would your second action be?
His second action is probably going to be the noise reduction one.
Okay, so you're going to be there pretending to be like black.
Yeah, basically.
Yep. Cool.
So at this stage, we've basically done some pretending to be normal in that particular context.
Yeah.
Found a possible weakness to try and set something up, then gone to start exploiting that weakness. So kind of stepping through the steps of a heist, effectively.
Mm.
Yeah.
And then our last two actions are...
Yours is go steal the thing. Mine was going to be to do something else. But we know yours goes bad, so I basically burn my action in order to cover for you and so you don't get noise.
Yeah, but you lose what you were going to do as that action.
Yes. Does that sound good to people?
Would PCs be able to team up? Because at the moment it's sounding like it's one PC does something, another one does something, and the only kind of time they ever work together is kind of tagging each other in of, I've just done this, now you can go and do that, or reflexively.
I kind of like the tagging in thing.
Okay, so it is kind of fairly rigorously turn-based, as it were. That kind of thing.
Think Ocean's 11.
Yeah.
You know how when they do the heist, everyone has their bit in the heist.
Yep.
Mitchie?
Well, I don't know. I feel I'm with Chris in this one. I would like more communication between the players and a little less rigid time. But I think, but again, that's a completely different direction from what you've been thinking. So I don't know how to fit this in. In my mind, the best thing about role-playing games is that there's a lot of things you can do outside the rules. And basically, you want to play football, you want to move a vase, you want to do stuff. You can do. If we confine the amount of actions, I don't really know how I can contribute to that.
I don't know if it's not the amount of tiny things you can do. I think it's the amount of big things you can do your actions. So sneaking away to go do something kind of takes a big chunk of time.
You could just do it as something like, if two or more of you want to sneak away at the same time, you can all use your skills together because obviously you're still there. But
any noise is goes on both of you.
Or you gain for the number of people there plus one extra noise or something like that. So you can do it, you can team up, you can help each other out. If you don't get caught, that's awesome. You helped each other out. It made it a lot easier.
Okay.
If you do get caught, then it's more trouble than it would have been if just one person got caught.
I think that's pretty good.
Precise numbers TBD.
I think that's so. Do you think that kind of goes anywhere to? Sorry, I've just forgot how to words.
Yeah, I think so. Well, if you're asking, yeah, I think so. I think that, yeah, that's precisely what I was talking about.
Cool. Do you want to say that again, so it doesn't come off me being stupid?
Yeah. So yeah, I think that this actually works.
Cool. So we do have a system for teaming up that's not always advantageous, but can be.
If it goes right, it makes everything much better. If it goes wrong, you're in 150% as much shit as you would have been. Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really nice, because I think what I'm getting so far is this game is a bit about risk, and it's a bit about pushing your luck.
Yeah.
I think that's definitely a pushing your luck thing. You're more likely to succeed, but if you mess up, it's going to be a lot worse.
Yeah.
No, I do like that you don't end up, because my problem with a lot of these games is, like, Dimitri, I get what you're saying when you said, like, you can do all kinds of different things, but generally, in my experience of my players, they just bum rush things. So it's like, hey, I put this one enemy in here, so they just surround it and kick it to death. In a
lot of ways, though, that's because most games expect you to not split the party.
True.
And also because if the emphasis is always combat, then, there's a combat. That's what we're going to do.
True.
It's always the reward people for not being, reward people for splitting the party thing. Terabadger Zero does a good job of this, where the players that aren't in a scene give XP to the players that are in a scene.
And get to act as NPCs as well.
Oh, that too, yeah. I think in this situation, the rewards thing isn't really what we want. But I think some mechanic to make it advantageous to split the party sometimes is going to be really useful.
Yeah, I agree.
Again, if we're going for that sort of heist film thing where everybody's sort of split up, doing their own little bit, then we kind of need that. Okay, so we've got some actions, we've got some ideas of what people might roll. I think we need to just really pin down some of the last bits of the mechanics, really. We got to put actual numbers on everything. Probably, do you want to do a worked example of character creation? Do you think that's going to be helpful?
I reckon so. At least we can then get it square in our minds, Okay,
so we've got a list of 7 skills, which we need to work out what those skills are. So these are like the 7 sort of archetype skills. I think planning should definitely be one of them. Or observation.
Yeah.
One moment.
Yeah, they're going to be pretty broad with just 7.
Yeah. So observation?
Yep.
Possibly. I think we should write more and eliminate and merge instead of just going for 7.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll just crack a few down then.
Stealth.
Mm-hmm.
See, I think we can kind of cheat here. We could do 11 skills and do 1 for each of the Ocean's 11.
Okay.
So you've got like Ideas, who's Danny Ocean. Rusty Ryan is logistics. Linus Caldwell is a pickpocket. Ruben Tishkoff is a con man. Sol Bloom, and we go through and we use each of their. So you have like munitions, con, and all that. I mean, obviously we can't do it. We can't do it exactly, but it gives us a framework because it's kind of the base heist movie.
I don't know. I think the problem is that a lot of those, like logistics, it's things from outside going in.
Oh, yeah, true.
And again, like you said, like the con man, it's going to be hard to get a mark.
True.
You're going in, you're selecting things in a ways that, like in a Prison Break, you wouldn't necessarily have the options to do.
So let's do it with The Great Escape. No, I get what you mean.
Or Prison Break.
Yeah, actually, I was being silly and looking at it, and there's kind of a framework, because like there's the Scrounger, the Tunnel King, the Forger, the Manufacturer.
I think Scrounger is scrounging should definitely be in there.
Have you guys played Monaco, the video game?
Oh yeah.
Go on, do you want to give us an overview?
So basically, it's a heist video game, and you can choose different characters. In multiplayer, you can have multiple, and there's different skills. Basically, every character is based on a single skill. So you have the pickpocket, you have the guy who's really good at doing damage to guards and stuff. You got the guy who can dig holes in tunnels. You got the person who can disguise themselves, and there's I can find the list somewhere.
So I've got so far there's observation, stealth, scrounging, fighting, sabotage. Do we want pickpocketing as its own thing?
I think I like the idea of having manufacturer. So you manufacture, you can build stuff out of other stuff.
So bodger.
Yeah, bodger.
Pickpocket's probably a bit too niche and specific. You probably want like Scrounger or something rather than
stealth and scrounging.
Or the filcher. Because the word filch is not used anywhere near enough in the world.
That is true.
Just don't accidentally put an E in.
There's a lookout.
I think though we've got scrounging already as our getting stuff skill.
There's the lookout.
That's observation.
Okay.
Do you reckon that should be a performing skill?
Yeah, I reckon there needs to be, because in The Great Escape, Big X, his thing is he takes the heat.
Yeah. And so that's actually, we've got 7 skills.
There we go.
Sabotage, not saboteur, because that's totally not in the right tense. But, okay. So yeah, we got our 7 skills. So when we create the session, what are the questions that we're gonna ask the GM's going to ask to everybody? Everyone puts their answers in, and then the GM picks one answer for each question.
It would be the way, or like the crowds really like it when and that's your heat burning thing.
Sorry, I think this is for the game in general. So like the nature of like why you're there, that kind of thing. What actually happens on the when they take you away. So I think that we want probably about 5 questions for that.
Sounds about right.
Cool. So let's get these 5 questions down. I think what is the purpose of this zoo would be one.
Yeah, like possible answers would be observation, breeding, entertainment, science,
research,
Yeah.
What's the purpose of the zoo? What do the keepers not understand?
Yeah, that's cool.
I'm just going off the notes from earlier. So, what do the keepers not understand? What else? Do we want another keepers focused one, or a guest? Who are the guests?
Yeah, I like that one.
What do the guests want?
Yep.
Yeah. Because it's going to be a very different facility if the guests are corporate types to if they're families.
Yeah.
Or if they're wanting a gladiatorial bloodbath or just some entertainment.
Yeah. What do they want out of this?
Mm.
Or what do the guests want out of their visit? Does that seem like a good phrasing?
Yeah, that sounds better. What do the guests want out of their visit? What makes the keepers strange?
Yeah, what are the keepers is probably a bit too blunt.
Yeah, what makes them strange, whereas is better because it
focuses the mind on that something is strange and weird about them, and what is that? Yeah,
really early on. I think that's a really good question. Okay, so we've got 4 questions. I think we need one more. Oh yeah, what happens if you misbehave?
That's it.
When you misbehave.
That's good for setting the overall. That's good for setting the overall tone and mood of the game as well. Because if it's you're put in the timeout bin, that's a very different game to you're never seen again.
Yeah, you're dropped in the murder blender.
So yeah, we've got what is the purpose of the zoo? What do the keepers not understand? What do the guests want out of their visit? What makes the keeper strange? And what happens when you misbehave?
Yep, sounds good.
Yep.
Cool. So we've got our 5 questions. Now we've got the character one. So it's each character gets a set of activities, like based on their character archetype. So I'm thinking they get 5, maybe 5 activities. They pick 3 of them to be good at and 1 of them to be bad at. So 5 activities. So there's the what I am very I'm very good at X. The crowd love it when I Y. I'm terrible at Z.
Yeah.
Or
yeah, get straight to the point.
In my spare time, I have practiced.
Yeah, I
P.
Yeah. So I've got a talent for.
Isn't this the same with I'm very good at?
That's just how I'm going to phrase it. So the first one, I've got a talent for X.
Okay.
So that's the one that you get maybe 2 extra skill points at. I don't know. We can work that out once we've got the list. So I've got a talent for I can't stand something. The crowd love it when I. And then the last one, what's that? I don't know how to phrase it. Like the thing you've been practicing.
My party trick is.
Oh yeah, so this is the one that isn't normally expected of you, but you have it.
My side hustle.
I like that. Yeah, side hustle.
My side hustle is. So this is like one that the keepers aren't necessarily as aware of, maybe.
Yeah, or it's like you can use it one-off to get rid of loads of heat because it's a bit like pandas showing sexual interest in each other. It's like, oh, he rarely does this. Like, come and see.
Yeah.
Tim is closing in on another business.
Brilliant. I don't know. I think that's probably more the crowd love it when I.
I'm just thinking of it as it's like, it's your kind of oh shit button in both directions,
It's your kind of stress relief super move where you just need something to happen. Effectively, you can press that button.
Yeah, so you roll more dice, but you can only use it once.
Yeah, it's your secret. Yeah, it's your stand. Like,
yeah,
like no one expected you to do that.
Yeah,
it's a Hail Mary.
Yeah, I like that. And so the I can't stand. You roll 1 less dice.
Yeah.
Yeah, because like with 2 dice, you can still achieve a 10. It's really, really hard.
Yeah, I like that. And the I've got a talent for is 1 more die on all rolls.
Yep, sounds good.
Should the crowd love it when I give you a bonus die when you're using it for the other stuff, since you're good at it?
I'm thinking that helps you get rid of more heat.
Yeah, but nothing else.
But it helps you get rid of more heat, but it makes you more tired because obviously you've drawn a bigger crowd.
I don't know. I think we should just leave it at reduces heat more.
Okay, just reduces your heat more.
Tracking that that we might not need is my concern.
Yeah, true, actually.
So yeah, we've got pretty much the full set of mechanics. I think we just need to do three. Yeah, just write down 3 actions per phase, and then so it's 3 action slots per phase. What's going to be the role to see, like, if you lose an action? Is it going to be the keepers roll 3d6 trying to get underneath your amount of noise?
No. For every point of heat, every point of noise, the keepers roll a d6.
And it's on a 6, you lose a.
Or even if all the keepers have to hit 10s and 15s and 20s.
Okay.
Okay, so 1 noise is fine, 2 noise probably okay, but if you get up to like 5 or 6, you're probably fucked.
Yeah, 3 noise is risking it. 20 noise is, well, it was nice knowing you lads. I'm gonna go get the snip. You know,
though, if we're gonna drag people out of their actions, like, to get taken off, or should that just happen at the end of the day?
Like, it reduces things the next day. Because, you know, oh, we're watching you, you naughty little primate, you.
Yeah. I think that works.
Or we can say, like, it only happens on days that either they go for the MacGuffin or they make the escape, but not in the set piece where they pretend to be what they are or pose a distraction.
I think that.
So, like, if you do a distraction, you swap the noise. If you pretend to be who you are, you lose noise. And if you go to get the item or make the escape, you just give the keepers the opportunity to roll.
Yeah,
right, so at the very end, each person has a noise count. The highest is the noise count for the end. What I'm thinking is, maybe for each point of noise, the keeper can can roll a die and then take that off one of your results.
At the cost of actually expending the noise.
Yeah, so when you actually make the final attempt, then you can sort of use them to screw with the players.
So it doesn't stick around.
I quite like that.
Is that only on the final attempt or anywhere throughout?
Only on the final attempt.
Okay. So they want to try and cut.
It's how vigilant the keepers are.
Because that means the players then want to try and make everything quite ideally as calm as possible.
Yeah.
Before making that final attempt. Okay.
Yeah. So each day, for each noise, a die is rolled 10, 15, 20, and then that docks actions.
Makes sense.
So it's possible for someone to have no action. It's going to be very unlikely. I mean, you'd have to get a lot of noise and get very unlucky, and then highest noise during the attempt is the number of penalty dice that the keeper gets to use.
Yep, I'm fine with that.
Okay.
So we got our fixed difficulties. I think we've got pretty much everything. What do we want to go for a name?
Oh god, the hard part.
Temporal Stereotype Zoo is a name.
I love Temporal Stereotype Zoo. I'm not joking.
He gets the point across. TSZ.
Any advances on that?
I would suggest the keepers.
True, the keepers is more marketable, but I don't know. There's just something about Temporal Stereotype Zoo that just makes me giggle like a fat kid with sweeties.
my worry with the keepers is that people will expect to be playing as the keepers.
No, it's like aliens. You don't expect the aliens to be the protagonists, no?
I mean, if I was playing a game called Aliens, I probably would expect to play an alien. If I hadn't seen the film. You know?
Yeah.
I do. It's a really cool name, and it's probably considerably more marketable. But what? So, okay, votes for Temporal Stereotype Zoo. I think I'm going to go for that one.
I'm going to go for that one.
Chris?
I quite like that one as well. Yeah.
I mean, it was close for me. I think. You cool with us going for the Stereotype Zoo then, Dimitri?
Yeah, sure.
Brilliant. Okay, so last thing. Well, second to last thing. One thing about this game that people are get excited about. You know, when we're going to be playing. For me, I'm really looking forward to this whole noise mechanic and the sort of helping each other out. And I think that intra-party sort of tension is going to be really cool.
For me, like the biggest anticipation is for the big distraction scene. So yeah.
Oh yeah. Great. Molly?
I think mine is just going to be us hamming it up with the stereotype. Like,
nice.
That's what I'm really looking forward to, is running with it.
Cool.
Probably planning the heist and seeing if everyone makes it out alive. There might have to be a dramatic last stand as someone gets sacrificed for the greater good.
Awesome. Finally, who wants to run this? Any volunteers?
I will.
Cool. That's nice and sorted.
Cool.
So the next episode is gonna be playing the game. We're gonna have a PDF file up for people to take a look at. It is going to be the draft version, but we'll be tweaking it and trying to make a final version for the post-mortem show. Actually, you're supposed to do the sign-off, so would you like to do the sign-off?
Yep. Right. Well, actually, am I okay to pimp my thing?
Yes.
Yay. So, if you are interested, after seeing me manage this train wreck, you will be able to hire me as a professional GM. If you go onto Facebook and look for GM Moley, I am available to do games, one-shots, all sorts of wonderful things. So look me up. That's GM Moley, and should be good. Anyone else got anything to pimp?
I don't at the moment.
Not at the moment, no.
Not at the moment, no.
Delightful. In which case, we have been Roll on the Adventure, and I hope you've enjoyed it. So this is Moley signing off.
Bye.
Goodbye.
Bye.